Sometimes a picture captures what the naked eye doesn't. But maybe sometimes it doesn't. Fox's pace slows down a little. Perhaps they're just a small piece of the larger puzzle. And solving that puzzle is William's job, not mine. Tell me, Sam, are you feeling sociable? Not particularly. Let's add a one-note laugh. You fucker. I don't see what's so funny. Well, I want you to meet him anyway. Ralph is our pharmacist. Pharmacist? This is 1900s. Okay. Or like 1912? 1918? What the fuck is the year again? I know, this ain't like your local fucking drugstore or the Walmart pharmacy. This is like just around the time where the Food Protection Act or whatever the shit was made. So this is gonna be just shady shit. Ralph is our pharmacist. He's who we rely on for purchasing chemical supplies and medications. Medication wasn't fucking used as a word back then. Jesus. He's also worked for our family for half a decade. 5 years. Half a decade sounds longer than 5 years, don't it? He can be hard to get along with, but his head and heart are in the right place. We make our way to the front of the store again. Alfred isn't there at the moment. There's a door behind the cash register that's slightly ajar. Ralph, I want you to meet somebody. A persnickety-looking rat pokes his head and looks around the door. Oh, fuck me. Look at this smarmy fuck. You were out late. William had that many errands for you to run? He stops dead in his tracks when he sees me. He's got a lot of expressions. God damn, I'm so happy. Because when I started playing these games, there was like no expressions ever. But now it seems like a standard to have even side characters have a bunch of fucking expressions. I'm so happy. I mean, for the more successful of the development teams. Like, not everyone can afford that shit. But yeah, it's so cool. Hell's bells. Oh, damn it. He has an accent that's somewhat similar to Cliff, but it's not quite the same. There's more of a twang to it. Oh, shit! I was closer than I thought. Murdoch, why is there a harlot in this establishment? Not that I have anything against harlots, but goodness, we just aren't open yet. I blink and look toward the door. Murdoch looked as if he just got punched in the face. Name's Sam. I'm gonna be working here. I know exactly who you are. You're from the hip, and you're one of the most sought-after hussies in town. Ralph? He is going to work here. Oh, they're not happy with each other. He's strong, and he's not just another day laborer. You really think your mother will be okay with this? I don't care. She already has enough control over everything. And your father was okay with this? Of course, why wouldn't he be? I mean the other thing. Well, the gobnobbling thing. Ralph! The prick-tickling thing. You're being horribly rude and unfair. Easy now, I just know you exceptionally well. Apparently not as well as you think you do. The rat is making a jerk-off motion in the air with one paw. Nothing can go poorly for a Berenstein Bears in this town. I was making a jerk-off motion with two paws. Let's see how far we can push the envelope. I sort of feel like I want to crawl into a hole and die right now. And somehow I also want this job more than I want that. I feel obliged to point out that I noticed something. Well, if it's that you're not the only whore in this room, that's hardly a breakthrough. Was more that Echo ain't that small. I ain't a blabbermouth. The only folks who tend to know where to find me are the ones who need me. So now, what does that say about you? Murdoch's smirking, it doesn't add a thing. The rat sizes me up. Not a damn thing I wouldn't openly confess if the walls came closing in. But you have to admit that you do stand out. You can't chase somebody out of here because they're too attractive, Ralph. The rat waves his arms frantically. Can't I? A bit ritzy for this place, isn't he? The rat puts on an official voice. Excuse me, miss. Would you like this enormous sweaty sculpture with glistening abs to get your flower for you, or would you just like to stare at his arse? As if we have that many misses shopping in this establishment in this town. That's enough. Welcome me or don't. Working here would earn me more money than elsewhere. The most money I'd earn in my life. I don't believe that for a second, mate. I'm confused. Where the fuck is Murdoch supposed to be from that this guy who says mate and arse is supposed to have a similar voice to him? Did I royally misplace the accent here after all of that? You're in over your head, mate, and it's only gonna get ugly if Mrs. Barnes sticks her nose into this. If you're gonna make trouble for me, then I might as well leave. Not until I get that film. I ain't trying to be a shite. Again, a shite! So you got mate, shite, and arse. Who are you and where are you from, motherfucker? I ain't trying to be a shite, but that would probably be for the best of everybody. Except it wouldn't be the best for me. The fox is oddly quiet, oddly calm, and his voice barely more than a whisper. Alright. I'll work here for a day, and then I'll make myself scarce. No. You'll work here as long as you need to. You deserve a chance at some financial stability. He doesn't miss a beat. Do you even know this guy that well, Murdoch? No, I don't, Ralph. Because knowing somebody takes time. And I don't ever seem to get a chance at that because you're the only queer friend I'm allowed to have in this godforsaken town. So is that what this is really about? You could have done without hiring Okay, hold the fuck. Bloke, shite, arse, mate. And he's saying all of these things and is apparently sounding similar to Murdoch, who doesn't say all those things. And the only difference is a twang? Who are you? You could have done that without hiring the bloke. Because I have so much free time and free reign to speak to whoever I want to. Trembling, he walks away from us and slips outside the door. Ralph lets out a noise of disgust and starts up a sing-song tone. Just thought I'd pop in to say I'm hiring the town bicycle starting immediately. Thank you for your concerns. Don't think I'm letting you off for knowing my name. Sawed off! The fuck? Sawed off, we've both been ogling you for months. Bit of a different situation when the eye candy and suddenly a co-worker, especially when we're trying to keep a low profile here. A lot of folks come through here. Folks will get curious if word gets out that you work here along with the other sort of work that you do. I don't welcome curiosity. Let them be curious then. Whoring ain't the only thing I want to be good at, and a whore's gotta eat. A shame arse and dick aren't a proper What the fuck? A shame arse and dick aren't a proper diet, else you'd be out of my fur. Lord Almighty, I really ought to throttle you. My king, my gentleman, please don't threaten me with a good time. Listen. No, you listen. Murdoch is good at inviting people in. I'm good at sifting through bad investments. I don't know why you're here, but don't make yourself a bad investment. Brat shoos me out of his office, giving me a look before shutting the door in my face. Jesus. I'm sorry about that. The guy hates me. He doesn't hate you, he's just an asshole. If you were anybody else, he would have just made up a different excuse to get under your skin. He's the type who has to test everybody he meets before he can trust them. That kind of personality can't be good for business. It isn't. But he's the drug expert, not me. So long as he isn't doing general sales, there isn't a problem. Oh, Alfred, I believe that is the dad, who I just went all nuts with. Hey, take a look at this! Both of us jump as Murdoch's father appears behind us with a jar of preserves in his hand. Why all these jars of huckleberry jelly next to the huckleberry preserves? I'm not really processing the man's question. Were they? Mr. Mercer doesn't like it when we put the preserves and the jelly together. Aren't most kinds of fruit spreads placed next to one another? It's usually where I would think to look for them. No, I know, Pa. He doesn't like the seeds in the preserves, son. Yes, that's true. The reason why he doesn't like the seeds is because he says they feel gritty in his mouth. He says it makes his sandwiches feel dirty. You're right. I'll fix that right away. Fix it right away? How can you fix it right away when you're supposed to be getting ready for the yearbook shoots at the school? Pa, that's on Monday. Today is Friday. I know what today is, and I know it'll take you 2 hauls to the school and back to get all the canisters for the organizers that you'll need, along with a box of all the other order forms. Which is traditionally why we set up on Saturday. Except your mother is vetoing that this year. I hadn't been told. Well, now you know. This will enable tighter security on the premises. Can't have us working up a frenzy the day before the Sabbath. Setup has to be finished by today, then. I can't imagine what would have happened if I didn't tell you. Gone! Get in to help you with it, too. He looks at me, then back at the jar in his hand and sneers at it before disappearing behind an aisle. What was that? I'll go get the boxes we need. The school's about a mile away. Oofta. Hey, look. The train tracks. Stop. We trot side by side, each of us carrying a heavy load as pebbles crunch beneath our feet. I check my wrist. Only 11. The sunlight isn't its hottest yet, but it's beaten down on me enough. Sorry for the sudden trip. And for my pa being the way he is. He organizes y'all stock based on the preferences of one customer. He needs them to be a certain way. And he don't care if it makes no sense to everybody else. He owns the store, he makes the rules. Sounds like he tells you that a lot. Sounds like he was suddenly keen on sharing every thought. I'm sorry, that was rude. Damn straight it was rude. You're fucking rude. Yeah. That was sarcasm, my friend. You're a fucking daffodil in a summer breeze. Fox pants. I try. Certainly feels like summer today. We hear the train moans in the distance. You ever been on that train, Sam? I've been on a train before. Probably not that one. I don't really keep track of the ones I've been on. More on where I'm going, where I've come from. You just keep looking at the tracks is all. I shrug. Train tracks make me feel nostalgic. They make me think about the idea of going somewhere. Sometimes an idea is prettier than reality. What do you mean? That was the Starlight 65. You could pay me to go on that train. You didn't seem like the superstitious type to me. You live in a place long enough, its baggage seems to become your wardrobe. But be it a curse or a magnet for self-fulfilling prophecies of accidents or injuries, I've got more than a few stories about that train. My favorite one is the least believable. It's a ghost story of sorts. Or maybe a monster story. Folks say you have to ride that train at midnight, hopping into one of the boxcars. Ah! You stare outside the boxcar and wait for the train to bellow. When it does, you shout your biggest regret. It has to be something that legitimately bothers you enough to work. You also have to say you're sorry, and you mean it. If you look out into the horizon and see a long cactus that's way too tall, you know you did it right. Because every time you pass the cactus, you'll see it again. Only it'll be closer. Until eventually it's so close that it doesn't even look like a cactus anymore. Whatever it is, it never looks the same to people. But eventually it gets close enough to climb on board. At that point, you'll have to close your eyes, or else to get angry, violent even. But it'll tell you if it forgives you or not. Except it won't sound right. It won't sound like normal language. What does the story say makes it forgive you or not? Some versions say it depends on if you forgave yourself. Other versions say it's the weight of your sin that matters. But the simplest version goes, was it hungry? Sounds right for a demon. And that's just one of the reasons why I don't want to go on that train. Was it hungry? This is all okay. Yeah. I'm drawing parallels between this and the fucking end of Leo's route. Jesus fuck, man. I would love someone to fucking make a chart of all the little shit that is mentioned or referenced in one of the games that comes up in another one, and just all the connecting lines. You like one of those fucking things? I'd just love for someone to make one of those. You said it's just a story. I think all stories come from something. And sometimes believing something is real can feel just as bad as it being real. Yeah, that's basically the version of reality I deal with when I get into these games. How much do you believe that they're real, though? Believe what's real? You know, monsters. And not just the people kind. Things from hell that walk this earth. Murdoch sighs and purses his lips. I don't think it would be a stretch to say that there are dangerous things that exist out in the world that could cause us harm. Sounds like such a canned answer. I meant, have you seen one? A monster. If I ever have seen something that strange, I couldn't be entirely sure. Is he avoiding my question? I think I felt one before. Down in the mines. Murdoch stops walking for a second, looks at me, opens his mouth to say something, then closes it again. Are you friends with one of the miners? Those words sound a little rushed. One. Nikolai. Big guy. Even bigger than me. Has a heart of gold, too. The name's familiar. I think he's played cards with William a few times. Big Badger. Yeah, that'd be him. But I haven't told him about this. Still, not really sure how to talk about it. I just know I felt its breath. I won't ever say that's something that didn't happen to you, Sam. But that story's a hard sell. I know. We walk for half an hour more. There it is! The old dilapidated school from Echo, now not so dilapidated. I feel surprised when we make it to the schoolyard. I've never seen the school before. The edifice stands 2 stories tall, with 2 tall doors down the center. I hear stern voices call from the windows, and the chorus of children's voices responding as we step inside. There's even the hallways. A wizened lizard sits at a booth in front of a stairwell, looking at us past her horn-rimmed glasses. Her voice is a hoarse rattle. Please state and sign the ledger with the appropriate time. Murdoch places his box on her counter, then picks up the fountain pen. Order forms! Murdoch grunts and nods.
Herb isn't here today. I'll need you to distribute these if we intend for students to take them home tonight, Burns.
Yes, ma'am. Could my associate assist me? My assistant assist. She opens the drawer and places 2 large circular pins on the counter, each sporting a large V inside engraving of a cactus blossom.
Keep the visitor pins visible at all times during your stay on the premises. Photography will take place in the auditorium as usual, but it would be prudent to get out those order forms first.
Thank you. We'll do that. The wooden slats over her window close. I'm not sure that schools had that strict a security back then, but yeah, I'm not arguing against it. I follow Murdoch down the left corridor as we turn a corner, coming to a large door frame. Wow. Just wow, dude. Sorry, I grew up in a rural town, for fuck's sake. This is bringing back memories. Inside is a dark auditorium with rows and rows of seating, with a small stage in front of us covered by a red curtain. If you set your box in here, I can unload my equipment while you take care of the order forms. Right. How should I go about that? Peep into every classroom. Leave a stack of 15 papers. First floor is the elementary school, and the middle school. Second floor is a high school. You'll need fuel as you go up, so it'll lighten your load if you start with the younger classes on the bottom. The stairs, as you recall, are in the middle of the school, but there are more on the left and right side of the building. If you leave a stack of order forms, I can follow up on any of the classrooms you might miss. I'll leave him with a stack like he asks, and bring the box through the school. My body feels a little too tall and wide for this hallway. The first room's the hardest. I stare at silent rows of tiny faces scratching verses onto miniature chalkboards before an austere voice greets me. What the hell is an austere voice? Severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. So austere is our word of the day. I blush and give her a stack of papers before leaving without a word, leaving a vexed and angry look on her face. Chalkboard scratching sounds follow me as I leave the room and move on to the next, leaving stack after stack amidst awkward introductions and terse nods. I don't pause until I make it to the second floor. I see Murdoch's large, fluffy orange tail inside one of the door frames, and I feel a little disoriented, wondering how he beat me here without seeing him pass in the halls. Oh, wait a minute. Until I get closer to the door and see that the tail belongs to a vixen. The raven himself is horse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend yon mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe, topful of durest cruelty. The vixen's gaze snaps suddenly to me. She holds up a clawed finger, and I feel myself flinch. A moment, if you please. Her gaze snaps back to the students in front of her. What does the passage mean, Blythe? One of the students, a black cat, speaks up.
She has summoned the unnatural to become something other than the role of lady, because she will commit murder when her lord cannot.
Why is the intersection of the roles lady and murderer unnatural?
Why, indeed?
Titters sound from the back of the classroom. The vixen tutted. In the mind of the poet, in the midst of his world, do not speak. Write. Pages turned and inkwells clattered on the desks. The vixen turned to me, smirking sideways when she saw the stack of paper beneath my arms. My little brother is pushing his paperwork onto you. He hired me this morning. He's such a busy bee. But you would think he'd have the time to say hello to me himself, especially after giving himself a helper. She looks me up and down and lifts her eyebrows. Might still visit. Left him to set up in the auditorium. Then she smiles beatifically. What is that word? Beatifically. Adjective. Bestowing bliss, blessings, happiness, or of the like. Beatific peace. Blissful, saintly, a beautiful smile. Y'all getting flowery with your fucking language.
But where are my manners? I'm Holly Burns.
She turns to her class. And no, the rest of you may not call me that. Some of the writing stops, more tittering rings from the back of the class.
I assure you that we will become better acquainted in the coming weeks. But for now, thank you for the picture day forms.
Picture day? When?
Holly laughs, giving me an apologetic grin, and then gently pushes me onto the hallway, closing the door on me. I continue through the hallways, distributing packets until I come to a large open archway. Ooh, books. Books upon books. The library is full of shelves, stacked to the ceilings with books. Another red fox sits at a desk in a corner, round glasses, too big for her face, perch upon her snout, and she peers at me from across the room with curiosity.
Why, hello, you're someone new.
Are you another one of Murdoch's relatives?
But of course, he's my older brother. If you come from the right, you must already have met Holly, our sister. I'm Dahlia. I tend to the books here.
She looks back and forth, then lowers her voice and speaks through a cupped paw.
But my real joy is upkeeping the observatory.
My paws are a bit tied at the moment for something like that. But y'all have a setup like that here in a school?
We do. The grant was from the governor 5 years ago. Few students master the necessary arithmetic to qualify for astronomy classes, but I can assure you that the few who do get the experience of their lives.
Why are you whispering?
Because didn't you realize we're in a library?
She giggles and looks down, sobering her expression.
And also because I don't mean to come across as ungrateful.
She lifts her wrists, shakes them, scrunches her snout, and smiles. Are you alright?
Heavens, yes. I just have a lot to be excited about.
Okay. I don't suppose you have any students present needing a picture day form, then.
You've probably given one to all of my students by now. But before you go, could you do me a favor and get a book for me? You may have to use the stepladder.
Fine. Where is it? She points to a shelf in the left corner of the room.
The blue one. Top shelf.
The ladder attaches to a slider that makes a squealing noise while I put it into a position. The wood squeaks under my weight while I take my first step up.
Careful, that ladder is old.
Wonderful. I climb step by step until I'm at the top. I grab the book and pull it from the shelf. And then a page slips out.
Oh!
Shit. I scramble down hastily, squeaking with each step. My paw swipes the page from the floor and I open the book. But the parchment is different. Oh shit, what does this say? The fox is peering over my shoulder as it says, As a child, ours of my life could pass me by. I'm gonna actually try to read this properly. As a child, hours of my life could pass me by. Back when the pores sock of mine in creation could be called my brethren. As much as I hated them, they provided my nourish.
Looks like this was some old student work between the pages. Poetry. How fun.
I'm not much of a poet, miss, but I could probably do better than this.
No need to be sour, sir. A good poem makes you think, and it looks like there's plenty to think about here. Why don't you keep it? Maybe you could study it and bring me back something better. But only if you would like to, of course.
Well, I can't exactly share her in her enthusiasm. I get the feeling that she'd be considerably disappointed if I didn't at least pretend to consider her wish. So I fold the paper and put it in my pocket. She covers a smile with her paw and walks back to her desk. She shoots me one last wave before I'm back in the corridor. After visiting a few more rooms, my box of forms feels considerably lighter. I turn a corner and see yet another orange foxtail sliding just out of view. I pray it's not yet another one of Murdoch's relatives, considering my capacity for small talk is already utterly worn down. But when I hear Murdoch's voice, I ease up. I apologize. I really would have arrived earlier if I had been told we were avoiding the Saturday rush.
I'm not upset that you're late. I'm upset that you couldn't put 1 and 2 together. Are you incapable of acting of your own volition without someone telling you where and when to be? You're not some log to be pushed this way and that. I raised you to be more clever than that.
This is true, and there are other things I could be doing at the store around town if we were setting up on Saturday, like we have done every year in the past.
Which leaves you, me, and your father breathless every year. Those other things can wait. How do you expect to fulfill the management role if you can't anticipate problems without being told to consider them? Do you struggle to tap into any sort of insight, or do you choose to not have any? Is it just too much effort, like joining me at church once a Sunday? Or other endeavors that much more important to you?
There's just so many.
Well, then get used to it. That's never going to change. But what should change is that what you consider most important.
I hear footsteps.
Who's been listening around the corner?
I seize up. The fierce grayed face of a wizened fox with half-moon spectacles turns a corner, sneering.
And just who are you?
Sam? Samuel Ayers. He's the new hire. The vixen's nostrils flare as she looks me up and down.
Strong, steady, big.
She looks to her son.
Picking manual labor is this appropriate. The first thing you've done all day that doesn't embarrass me. Knowing you, I would have presumed you would have dragged home some fanciful, raidy-looking little thing.
There's a glint of appraisal in her sunken eyes as she studies me.
I'll let you gentlemen get to it then. There's work to be done.
Finally, she strides away from us, disappearing down a corridor. Damn! He doesn't say another word as we stalk down the stairs. When we get to the auditorium, I can see there's a large constructed tripod, a screen, and a flash bulb. We are done for the day. You sure? Quiet. There's little left to be done here, and the quicker I get you trained on the enlarger, the better shape we'll be in on Monday. Murdoch opens the exit, and warm, dry air replaces the cold, musty air of the auditorium. His keys ring as he locks up behind him, and we begin our long trek back to the general store. I don't mind getting this much exercise, but the fox seems a little winded. We don't see Alfred or Ralph. Alfred or Ralfred anywhere inside the store, so Murdoch takes me directly to the back of the store. He produces a small silver key from his vest pocket and opens the door under the stairs to the dark room. He enters first and turns on the red light. When I go in, the first thing my eyes catch is the hanging film we had developed earlier. Murdoch does as well and snatches it from the pins. So I bet you can't help but wonder how we get from this, holds a small, shiny strip of film, to this. He flicks a large piece of paper about the size of my head that has a dark, vivid photograph of the moon upon it. He brings the film to the far end of the room to a counter where a large black metallic box hangs from the post grafted to a slab. Let me walk you through once, then you can do it yourself. Oh, Jesus. This machine is called an enlarger. It's how we get from tiny film that fits inside hand cameras to large pictures we can mount on walls. Oh, Jesus Christ. I can feed the negatives, which is just another name for the film, into this cartridge, which can be put in and taken out of this slot in the top. Unless we, the player, needs to know this, this is wildly unnecessary. I can turn the lamp inside of the enlarger to make light shine from the top and through the negatives on the slab below, which is called an easel. A blurry, distorted image shines on the easel. I can't make any of its details out. This knob and the side of the enlarger is sometimes called the focus. Turning this knob increases or decreases the size of a hole through which light passes. This hole is called the aperture and is covered by a glass lens. When you adjust the knob, a sharper image appears below on the easel. I recognize it as the pickaxe I put into Jack's skull. Murdoch walks away from the enlarger, crouching, fumbling with a few jugs and wooden containers below a counter. He places 3 of the wooden containers on the counter next to the enlarger. Similar to film, we have to use developer fixer and a liquid rinse. He pours 1 jug labeled PD into the first tray and 1 labeled DF into the second tray. The third tray is just filled with water in the sink. Then he crouches again, taking out a stack of paper and an envelope. This is light-sensitive paper. It's been prepared with chemicals to react with the light in an enlarger. He puts on gloves and pulls out one of the sheets of paper from the envelope and places it under the enlarger. Then he pulls out the stopwatch from his pocket and winds it. Exposing the picture for different time frames creates different contrasts. With this paper and this enlarger, I have experimented and find I like 30 seconds of exposure. The stopwatch chimes and he pulls the paper out from the image. Developer begins the chemical reaction that shows the image. He places the paper in the first box, then rocks the frame back and forth gently, then sets his stopwatch again. Crouches under the sink to retrieve a pair of metal tongs. Just 2 minutes is all we need. After more waiting, his pocket watch dings again. Now into the fixer for 1 minute. Then we rinse the photo off for 1 last minute. Now we can hang it up to dry. He places the photo of that pickaxe on the corkboard, clamping its corner with a clothespin. Now why don't you try one? Something sits very wrong about creating the evidence that could incriminate me, but I just nod all the same. Murdoch is sliding through the negatives, whistling to himself, but then his whistling stops. Huh. What's huh? I don't like huh. Could have sworn this one was exposed, but I'm seeing something faint. Slip a sheet of paper onto the enlarger, please. I feel my own brow furrow, but I listen. The paper feels sticky between my fingers as I slip it out of the envelope and put it under the machine. If we overexpose this, we might be able to pull something out from the contrast. He sets his pocket watch, and we both stare at the paper, watching it darken. The stopwatch rings, just like we said. I put it in the developer. I rock the container back and forth, heavier than I expected. Stopwatch rings. I try not to look at the image as I take it out of the developer, but Murdoch does. That was the opening to the mine. Or at least it was an opening. I avoid his expression, plucking the photo from the developer. Murdoch keeps setting the time for me. Into the fixer it goes. I rock it back and forth. Stopwatch rings, now for the rinse. I grab the tongs again, plucking the photo, not looking at it, not looking at Murdoch. I rock it back and forth. Stopwatch rings. Stopwatch rings. Stopwatch rings. Sam! Time to hang? You haven't been responding to me. Oh. I feel like the blood is rushing out of my head, like I had been upside down and now I'm right side up. I'm sorry. I just need you to answer me. Answer you? What do you see? What do I see? In the picture. In your hand. Take a look. My insides freeze. Oh, fuck me. What the fucking microphone? What the fuck is that? What in the holy shit could that possibly be? Obviously it's the demon of some kind, but what? Please. Just tell me what you see. I swallow. I don't know what I'm looking at. Looks all wrong to me. Do you see trees? Look back down at the photo. I don't know what I see. I see no trees. Turn back to Murdoch. For a split second, there's a strange look in his eye. Confidence. And it goes back to that distant stare. I do not recall ever taking this picture. Plucked it from my hands and hung it on the wall himself. We have worked enough today. Go home, Sam. Why go? I just need to think about some things. Does it have anything to do with me? Not really, no. I don't know why, but I believe him. He doesn't sing the tune of an angry or sorrowful man. It feels more like excitement and exhaustion. I could tell for one reason or another that I needed to let him alone. So I step away, and I do. Most because I need to be away from this room as fast as I can be. His voice calls to me as soon as I pass through the door. You'll come back Monday, won't you? I'm not so sure if I will. Even if it might let those photos slip into William's hands. Of course. I say this, putting on my best smile, which was stupid considering he couldn't even see it and it's fake. Okay. It's a weak goodbye. Even has a bit of finality to it. Don't know how and I don't know why, but I intend to prove its dismissal wrong. But for now, it's time to go home. Wow, what the fuck? So that certainly was one hell of an update. A lot of things, it was a big build-up one. There was a lot of establishing of certain characters, certain settings, certain interpersonal relationships that don't really relate to us. But mainly the update is very significant for that ending. What the fuck is Murdoch thinking? Very interesting to think about. We won't know until his next update, whenever the shit that'll be. But I do know that the next update will be Cliff. And this is where we will start with that update, right before we see naked James Hendricks. So, that'll be on the next one. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I have been the Trained Unprofessional, and you're not. Bye!